And like, I love Dawkins. He's fantastic. He's very, very, very good. But he likes to call people idiots. And the problem with that is people go, fuck you, you're an idiot. Like, there's a natural inclination when you insult people to argue back and to sort of dig their heels in.
Yeah.
And you don't do that. And I think that's very important. And I think that a guy like Dawkins just gets frustrated from all these years of debates with people who are uneducated or saying ridiculous things. He's a bit of a curmudgeon, you know, and he seems to be softening as he's getting older.
Va chez maman la Delo, va prendre ta petite
And
bouteille.
that's the front line in some sense, isn't it? You know, when you think about particle physics,
Va
you don't
prendre
get
une petite
shit because
bouteille.
people don't understand what you're talking about. So, yeah. Whereas I think evolutionary biology is right there. So I understand this frustration.
Oh, I do too.
Having said that, you know, I've kind of softened a bit over the years, actually, because now, I think at this point, both in the US actually and in Britain and in some other countries, we are at a point, you've sort of alluded to it, where everybody's angry. There's a lot of anger, and a lot of it's justified, by the way. You know, we can talk about that, income inequality and all those things. So there's justified anger. But it seems to me that there are people of goodwill who need to band together to diffuse the anger in our societies. Otherwise, we won't have countries like the United States.
Yes.
There's the United States because it's united. Everybody. You've got the American flag there. There's a sense of belonging and identity and togetherness in a country which you've got to preserve. And so I've stopped actually picking. I used to, for example, quite enjoy picking fights with Deepak Chopra on Twitter. You know, and it's just fun. It's a laugh, you know, and you just do it. And he says some crazy stuff, and he's angry. But I've sort of almost stopped doing it. Going, well, but relative to some of the other people,
right?
He's someone who means well. Yes. I don't agree with virtually anything he says. However, he's a well-meaning person. Yeah. And so I've started trying to seek common ground. Now. That's why I for example, gave a talk to the bishops that asked me to come. Yeah, I don't agree with them on the framework, their theological framework. But they mean well, most of them.
Yeah.
So I think seeking consensus and diffusing anger, as you said, it is incumbent on all of us, especially people like us who have a public voice. We need to diffuse some of this anger, because otherwise it will consume everyone.
Yes, I've tried very hard to evolve in that respect and just get better at communicating ideas and get better at understanding how people receive them. And I think it's easy to get lazy and to insult.
And it's fun. And it's fun. It's funny, you know?
Yeah. Well, especially me. I mean, I'm a comedian. It's part of what I do is insult people.
Yeah.
But I do it
funny.
for humor. I want to entertain people. That's the whole idea behind it. But I think in terms of like discussing ideas, especially that are so personal to people, like religion, I've re-examined the way
the enemy has captured 2 objectives. Move to secure.
Yeah. It's interesting. I did a BBC programme ages ago. I was asked to do it on there's a thing called the Reith Lectures that the BBC had done since 1952. And Robert Oppenheimer did it in 1953. It's fascinating. You can get the transcripts online for free. And you can get one recording of the 5. They taped over the other 4.
Qu'il a fait?
They erased them because they wanted the tape for something else.
No.
It's just unbelievable. But one of them exists.
Dans la toilette? Quand je l'avais bien serré.
How do they do that?
I know, but you can read it. It's just
They taped over. Could you buy more tapes?
And Bertrand Russell did them. They taped over them.
They taped over Bertrand Russell's?
I know.
Oh my God.
It's just bizarre. Because tape was so expensive. But he talks about but it's brilliant. It's called Science and the Common Understanding. And they weren't very well received because they thought he was going to talk about the Manhattan Project. So they thought he was going to talk about the atom bomb. You know, he ran it. But he didn't. He talked about how thinking like a scientist, which means thinking in the way that nature forces you to think, can be valuable in other areas. And that's an insight in itself. The great thing, the unique thing about science is nature forces you to have an opinion. You can't have an opinion about gravity, right? If you jump off a building, you can hit the ground. That's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your opinion is. And he said, so if you think about, for example, so sometimes you think of a particle like an electron, sometimes it's a point-like object. It behaves like a little billiard ball thing or a pool ball that bounces around. But sometimes it behaves like an extended thing, like a wave. And nature forces you to hold both ideas in your head at the same time in order to get a complete picture of the object, a description of the electron. And he said that's the valuable thing about quantum mechanics. You know, unless you're doing electronics or inventing lasers, you don't need to know this stuff. But if you want to learn how to think, it's valuable to be forced to hold different ideas in your head at the same time. It's really teaching you not to be an absolutist. It's really teaching you the example he uses is because I think he had problems with McCarthy and all those things, didn't he? So you think he's writing in the 50s. So he said you can be a communist, which in his definition would be that you think the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Right? So society is all that matters. Or you could be a libertarian, right on the far conservative end, where you think that the individual is the only thing that matters, and that's it. But actually, of course, to have a functioning society, you need a mixture of the two. And we can weight it one way or the other, but you need to hold those ideas in mind. And that's, he said, that one of the most valuable things about science, because it forces you into modes of thought. And that's what we're talking about. The absolute positions are always just a blinkered sort of subset of what's actually happening. You can't understand the world by being an extremist. You've got to hold all these views in your head.
Well, that I find that so often in this podcast because I talk with people I agree with and disagree with, and I always try to put myself in the head of the person that I disagree with. I always try to figure out how they're coming to those conclusions or where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to not be married to ideas. I got a conversation with someone about this, and they said, like, sometimes you change your opinions a lot. I go, yeah, I do.
As if it's a bad thing.
Like I'm flip-flopping. I'm not a politician. Like, I'm not flip-flopping. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, I will have one opinion on a thing, whether it's a controversial thing like universal basic income. I'll change my mind 100% in 2 weeks. Now I think it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back and forth. No. People need motivation. Schools, it seems, they need motivation. And I don't know. I bounce around with these things.
Yeah.
But I've tried really hard as I've gotten older to have less absolute opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, Richard Feynman, another great physicist, wrote a similar essay at a similar time to Oppenheimer. And he also worked on the Manhattan Project. It's called The Value of Science. I think that was 1955. And they both shared, actually, a surprise, I think, that they were still alive. Because they thought that the power they'd given to the politicians, the atom bomb, would destroy everything. They didn't think that the political system would control it, and it did. So that's a remarkable thing.
Yeah.
We're still here. But in that essay, he said that the most valuable thing about science is the realization that we don't know. And he said in that statement, it's called Satisfactory Philosophy of Ignorance, by the way. And he said in that statement is the open door, the open channel, he called it. So if we want to make progress, we have to understand that we don't know everything. And we have to leave things to future generations, and we can be uncertain and we can change our minds. And he said that's a great something like it's our duty as scientists to communicate the value of uncertainty and the value of freedom of thought to all future generations. That's the point. That's what freedom of thought means. Freedom of thought means freedom. And in fact, said that's what democracy is. If you think about it, democracy is a trial and error system. So it's the admission that we don't know how to do it. Therefore, we'll change every 4 years. We'll change the president. Or every 8 years, we'll change the president. Why? Because the president doesn't know how to do it. So someone better. There will be someone better that comes along, and then someone worse and someone better. But it's a trial and error system. And he's right. He's right. That is the open door. That's the road.
It's certainly better than humility. Yeah. One of the things that I love so much about Bertrand Russell and about Feynman is how human he is. Girls Bertrand Russell was addicted to tobacco. He would talk about how he wouldn't fly unless he could smoke. Like he had to get us, was back when they had smoking sections on airplanes.
Yeah.
He had his he used to fly without tobacco.
Yeah.
He couldn't imagine being without tobacco. Like
Yeah.
that's so strange for such a brilliant guy to be addicted to
We
such
are
a
taking
gross
Alpha.
thing.
Yeah, you're right,
Securing
because I think
objective
these are
Charlie.
people that
We control
found
Alpha.
existence joyous. Right? They
Yes.
wanted to know. They just wanted to know stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't want to know everything, because you can't know
Tossing
everything.
sticky
Right.
grenade!
You know, I suppose that's what. If you think about what the job of a scientist is, it's to stand on the edge of the known, because you're a
UAV on
research scientist.
station.
So if there's
We're
nothing
getting
to
hit
know,
hard.
then you've got no job.
UAV
So
ready
you have to be
deploy.
naturally comfortable with not
Requesting
knowing.
recon
And
flyover!
there's one thing I really do think.
orbiting the AO.
We was,
Recon is online.
how do we begin to patch
We
our
control
countries
Charlie.
back up again? One of the reasons I think in
Hostile
education
missile
is
in
to
the
teach
area.
people the value of uncertainty, of not knowing. It is not weak
Right.
to not know. It's actually natural not to know.
And that's
not
one of
be
the
afraid of
problems
it.
with religion, is to say that you know when you do not.
UAV
To say
is
that you
being
have
refueled.
absolute
RTB
truth,
at
and
this time.
absolute knowledge of something.
No.
When it
It
can't
came
really
for free.
exist.
Yeah, I mean,
I
history
had to
does
level it
that,
up.
Mission
but,
failed.
yeah,
Return
anyone
to
thinks
base.
that
Yeah.
absolute knowledge is causes trouble.
Yeah. Did you see Ex Machina?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you enjoy it?
Yes, I know. Alex Garland, who wrote Sunshine,
Oh, right.
so
that's
that was,
right.
And
yeah.
28 Days Later,
Yeah.
and yeah, so
And that
Ex
other
Machina
new
is really-
movie, the weird one, the Alien movie. He wrote that as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
what's it called?
Annihilation.
Yeah,
That's my
great
old one.
soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you scared of artificial life, artificial intelligence? Elon Musk scared the shit out of me
Yeah,
when he talked about it. Like he talks about it like we're in the opening scene of a science fiction movie where he's trying to warn people, and then they don't listen to the genius, and it goes south.
sort of depends. I chaired a debate on this